Welcome back to ChapterCast. In this chapter, we're diving into one of the most important tools in behavior analysis, functional assessments. Why do people engage in problem behaviors, and how can we identify the reasons behind them? In this video, we'll break down functional behavior assessments step by step, exploring indirect methods, descriptive assessments, and functional analyses. With relatable real-world examples like tantrums in a classroom or avoidance in daily routines, we'll show you how behavior analysts uncover the why behind challenging behavior and use that knowledge to guide effective, ethical interventions. Alright, so let me tell you a story. It's about my nephew. We'll call him Kevin because that's his name. And Kevin, for about a year, decided he would only eat beige food. Crackers, plain pasta, chicken nuggets, potatoes. If it wasn't the color of a boring wall, he wasn't interested. My sister was going out of her mind. Was he sick? Was he just being stubborn? Was it a protest against colorful vegetables? She tried everything. She tried begging. She tried making little broccoli trees. She even tried hiding mashed carrots in his mashed potatoes. He knew. He always knew. The dinner table became a battleground. Every meal was filled with tension. My sister would present this beautiful, colorful plate of food, and Kevin would just push it away and ask for crackers. It was stressful for everyone. You know that feeling, right? When you're faced with a behavior you just don't understand, and nothing you do seems to make it better. It's frustrating and it can make you feel completely helpless. You start thinking, what am I doing wrong? Or why is this happening? It's a question we ask about our kids, our pets, sometimes even our partners. Hey, I'm not judging. We all just wanted to figure out the why. What was going on in that little head of his? It wasn't just about the food, it was bigger than that. We realized that forcing him to eat green beans wasn't solving the real problem, because we didn't even know what the real problem was. Was he getting attention for refusing? Was he avoiding the weird texture of a tomato? Was there something about the beige food that just felt safe and predictable to him? It turns out, figuring out the why is the most important step of all. And there's a whole science dedicated to exactly that. That's what we're going to talk about today. It's a fancy term called functional assessment, but don't let that scare you. It's really just a way of being a detective for behavior. It's about looking for clues and figuring out the reason, the function, behind why we do the things we do. For Kevin, it turned out the mushy, unpredictable textures of other foods made him anxious. The beige foods were crunchy and consistent. He wasn't trying to be difficult. He was just trying to avoid feeling uncomfortable. Once we knew that, everything changed. No more battles, just solutions. And more crackers. Lots and lots of crackers. Okay, let's break it down. Functional assessment. It sounds like something you'd need a PhD for, right? Maybe something involving lab coats and clipboards. But here's the secret. It's really just a structured way of asking, why is that happening? And then gathering information to find the answer. It's the process of figuring out the purpose or the function that a behavior serves for a person. Because here's the thing, and this is a big one, all behavior happens for a reason. All of it. Even the stuff that seems completely random or makes no sense to us on the outside. There's always a payoff. Think about it this way. You don't just yawn for no reason. You yawn because your body needs more oxygen. Or maybe you're tired. You don't just check your phone 100 times a day for fun. You do it to get information, to connect with people, or to escape a boring meeting. See? Every action has a purpose. Functional assessment is just the official, organized way of playing detective to uncover that purpose, especially when we're talking about challenging behaviors. It's about looking past the behavior itself and focusing on what the person is getting out of it. The importance of this is huge. I mean, it's a game changer. Before, people might have just said Kevin was a picky eater and tried to punish him or force him to eat, but that approach doesn't work because it doesn't address the reason for the behavior. It's like trying to fix a leaky faucet by yelling at it. You're not solving the problem, you're just making a lot of noise. Functional assessment helps us move from just reacting to a problem to actually understanding it. And once you understand it, you can come up with a solution that actually works for everyone. So instead of just trying to stop a behavior, functional assessment helps us find a better, safer, more appropriate way for the person to get what they need. If a child is screaming to get a toy, maybe we can teach them to ask for it using words or a picture card. The need is the same, to get the toy, but the way they achieve it is different. It's about teaching, not just punishing. It's a much kinder, more effective, and more respectful way to help someone. It's all about empathy and understanding. And who doesn't need more of that? So we've established that all behavior has a reason. But what are those reasons? Well, in the world of behavior analysis, they've pretty much narrowed it down to 4 main functions. Think of them as the four major food groups of behavior: eats, escape, attention, tangibles, sensory. Almost every behavior, especially the challenging ones, can be traced back to one or more of these. Let's go through them. First up, E, for escape or avoidance. This is when someone does something to get out of a situation they don't like. Student wandering around during math class to avoid the worksheet. A toddler throwing a tantrum when it's time to leave the park. Ever pretend you didn't see someone to avoid a long conversation? Next, A, for attention. This is about getting a reaction, good or bad. A teenager making a sarcastic comment to get laughs. Even Brenda with her loud sigh could be looking for attention and sympathy. Third, T, for tangibles. It's about getting access to a specific item or activity. The goal is simple. I want that thing, and I'm going to do this until I get it. Finally, S, for sensory. Kevin and his beige food, the crunchy texture felt good and predictable. The reward is internal and automatic. Quick recap: escape, attention, tangibles, sensory. Okay, now that we have the four main functions down, let's talk about some of the lingo. I know, technical terms can be a snooze fest, but these are actually pretty helpful, and they'll make you sound very smart at your next dinner party, or at least help you understand what a professional might be talking about. First up is the most important tool in the detective kit: ABC, observation. This stands for antecedent. This stands for behavior. This stands for consequence. It's the simple formula for looking at any behavior. It's like the who, what, and where of our detective story. The antecedent is what happens right before the behavior. It's the trigger. For our wandering student, the antecedent was the teacher handing out the math worksheet. The behavior is the student getting up and wandering, and the consequence is being sent out of the classroom. A, worksheet. B, wandering. C, leaving the room. When you start writing down ABCs, a pattern usually starts to pop out. Now let's get into the consequences a little more, because that's where the reinforcement happens. We have social positive reinforcement. Social means it involves another person. Positive means something is added. This occurs when a behavior attracts attention or earns you a tangible item from someone else. When a toddler whines and a parent gives them a cookie, that's social positive reinforcement. The cookie was added and it came from another person. This makes the whining more likely to happen again. Then there's social negative reinforcement. Again, social means it involves another person. But negative here doesn't mean bad, it means something is taken away. This is escape or avoidance when someone else is involved. If wandering gets the worksheet taken away, that's social negative reinforcement. The unpleasant thing was removed. It's a successful escape plan. You're doing great. See? Not so bad. Let's keep going with a few more terms. We just talked about social reinforcement, which involves other people. But what about when it doesn't? That's where automatic reinforcement comes in. Remember the S for sensory in our EATS acronym? Eats. This is its official name. The consequence is delivered automatically by the behavior itself. No one else needs to be involved. The reward is internal. It either feels good or it gets rid of a bad feeling. Automatic positive reinforcement means that something good is added, resulting in a pleasant sensation. Rocking back and forth can be a calming sensation, or humming while you work, the sound and vibration might feel good. It's self-reinforcing. It's a party for one. And on the flip side, automatic negative reinforcement means that something bad is taken away, resulting in a bad feeling. Back to Kevin. He felt anxious about mushy textures. When he refused vegetables, he avoided that yucky, anxious feeling. The bad feeling was removed. Or scratching an itchy bug bite, the scratching gets rid of the itch. The relief is automatic and immediate. One last term for this section: functional interventions. This is the whole point of doing a functional assessment in the first place. A functional intervention is the plan you create based on what you learned about the why. It's not just a random punishment. It's a thoughtful strategy designed to address the function of the behavior. If it's for attention, teach a better way to get attention. If it's about escape, make the task easier and teach how to ask for a break. It's the solution to your mystery. So, how does this all work in practice? You suspect there's a reason behind a behavior, you know the four functions, you've got the lingo down. Now what? A full-blown functional assessment usually has a few key steps. It typically starts with what's called descriptive assessment, the information gathering phase. You're not testing anything yet. You're observing and collecting clues. Like a detective at the scene, taking notes and talking to witnesses. You're building your case. Talk to people. Informal chats or structured interviews with the person when possible. Their family, teachers, caregivers. Ask, when does this behavior happen? What does it look like? What happens right before and after? What has worked or not worked? Gather history and perspectives. Next is direct observation in natural environments such as the classroom, home, and playground where you watch. You take data. Write down the antecedent, the behavior, and the consequence every time you see it. Do this for hours or days to see patterns. Direct evidence matters. Sometimes what people think is happening isn't what's actually happening. Another tool is the scatter plot. It's a grid to see if behavior clusters at certain times or activities, with times listed down the side such as 9, 10, and 11 a.m., and days across the top. Mark each occurrence. After a week, look for patterns, maybe right before lunch or only during reading group. It's another clue. With interviews, ABCs, and scatter plots, you form a hypothesis about function. To prove it, trained professionals may conduct a functional analysis, involving many experiments with control and test conditions, to determine which evokes the behavior most. They test attention, escape, tangible, sensory. In attention condition, attention follows the behavior. If rates spike there but stay low in a play control with attention, toys, and no demands, attention is likely the function. Okay, the detective work is done. You've done your assessment, maybe even a fancy functional analysis, and you have your answer. You know the function. Let's say you've confirmed that 8-year-old Maya screams and throws her school books because it gets her sent out of class and helps her escape hard reading. The function is escape. Now what? This is where the magic happens. Design a functional intervention. The most important rule? It has to match the function. Since Maya's function is escape, giving more attention or sticker charts might not work if escape is more powerful. The plan has to address escape. First, make the thing she's escaping less awful by doing right-level work or smaller chunks. Next, teach a better way, a replacement behavior. Instead of screaming, teach her to ask for a break, a card on the desk, or the phrase, "Can I have a break, please?" When she uses it, honor it right away and give her a 2-minute break. If screaming still occurs, ensure it no longer works. Have her calmly pick up books and complete a small task before the break. That's extinction. Over time, she learns screaming doesn't work. Asking does. It's a powerful shift. We talked about Kevin, the 4 functions, fancy words, and how to be behavior detectives. But why does it matter? Understanding is power. When behavior is challenging, it's easy to feel helpless and label people as bad or broken. Functional assessment shifts you from judgment to curiosity, from stop to why. It gives you tools to see unmet needs, be proactive, solve problems, and teach skills. It helps in parenting, teaching, friendships, and even with yourself. This science of behavior is a science of humanity. Be kind to one another. That wraps up Chapter 13, Understanding Problem Behaviors Through Functional Assessment. If this walkthrough was helpful, please give the video a like so that other students can find it too. You can always use the timestamps to review key sections or head to the playlist to continue with the next chapter. Subscribe to ChapterCast for more chapter-by-chapter study guides, and let me know in the comments which concept you'd like broken down next. Thank you for learning with ChapterCast, where textbooks become study-friendly lessons. See you in Chapter 14, Applying Extinction.